Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the landing strip after the Winnipeg Jets 5-game winning streak comes to a close with a thrilling loss to the Seattle Kraken, a 3-0 game in which two of the goals were empty netters in the last minute and a half. Didn't seem like a lot was going on in this one, and we'll dive right into that. Mikey, how you doing tonight, buddy?
What's hi? Who's there? What happened? Is this? Oh right, yeah. Oh man, that was a tough one to make it all the way through. I was fighting to stay awake through that game. That might have been the most one of the most boring games I've ever watched. That was a tough one tonight for me.
So what you're saying is we got to make it up with an exciting show. And if you're watching this show tonight, you have a chance to win tickets to tomorrow's Calgary
Oh
versus
yeah.
Jets game at about the midpoint of the show when we do the From Financial Face-Off. We'll be taking your entries, and someone that either calls in or writes in the chat their entry for the From Financial Face-Off will win tickets to tomorrow night's Friday night game on the back-to-back against Calgary. So hey, we'll try and spice up tonight after a pretty boring one. I agree. That was a tough one to watch at times.
Yeah, it was, between the style of play that Seattle had and the fact
Mm-hmm.
that none of the Jets had any jump, any movement to them whatsoever. It was rough. That was a tough one.
Over on YouTube to get this started, Julian Labossiere, who I happen to sit down with. Funny little story I'll get into in a second here on ending up sitting with two of the people from our chat randomly. Talk about Winnipeg's a small little town. Says, not boring. I was scared shitless whenever Flurry and Shen were on the ice.
Yep.
And Turd Ferguson says, question for Nick. Who would win in a foot race? One lap behind around the ice, Luke Shen or the statue of Ducky?
Oh,
Um, I
actual Ducky
think,
right now might still be faster.
hey, on a night where there was a big gambling scandal that rocks the NBA, I think the Ducky statue would be the minus 200 favorite
I think
in
Luke
that
Shen needs
race.
to get looked at now after that scandal. We're talking about point shaving.
Cement boots versus cement boots.
God, that's
That's a
rough.
that's a
And
that's a
obviously,
good
I'm kidding.
question.
I am not accusing anybody in the NHL of anything like that. Relax. I'm just a joke.
I thought that was a good question from Turd. But on this night, let's start actually. Let's go where we usually start. Jumped into the chat a little quick there. What was your big takeaway leaving this game between the Jets and the Kraken?
We've talked a lot about how the guys that they're missing right now by injury are really going to help, shore up the defensive side of things. They're going to shore up the defense. There's the three of their, best defensive guys and all of that. We haven't really talked about who's going to be coming in to save the offense right now because it looks pretty rough. This is not the dominating top line that we were all, promised to have this year
Tougher
again.
night for them.
Yeah,
Tougher night for them.
so I'm wondering where the that offensive help is that punch is going to come from. Doesn't really look like there's the young guys that are going to be the saviors at the moment. We'll get into Brad Lambert a little bit later and the ghost of wherever Nikita Chibrikov has faded off into. And I'm not doing Lucy with the football and go, well, a big ad at the deadline is really going to, no, I'm not doing it. So they need to improve internally first. And if anything does happen to show up via trade deadline, cool. But I'm really wondering where that internal growth is going to come from right now to get this offense jump started.
Oh, you know exactly where it's going to come from. This is a team still missing three of their key guys. Two of them will be fixtures in that middle six. So that'll change some things, but this was definitely a night where I don't think either team had overly quality chances throughout. I thought there were some big saves from Hellebuck on some breakdowns,
Huge.
and we'll get into some of those pairs and what happened there. Um, but I actually want to credit the Seattle Kraken for how they played this defensively. I thought the Jets did a pretty decent job of getting pucks towards the net, and I thought DeCord was really letting out a ton of rebounds tonight, but they couldn't get to those rebounds. I thought the Seattle Kraken and what they did, um, in their own slot and how they really cracked back and controlled that slot. I know at one point Choices TK had turned to me and said the Kraken are doing to the Jets what the Jets when they're at their peak do to other teams.
Yeah.
I think this is a night where the Seattle Kraken deserve a lot of credit for how they played this game defensively. And this game really comes down to one breakdown with the Fleury Shenpair and Iafallo and Nemestikov get caught on a switch, and Iafallo's late to his guy who bangs home the rebound. I just thought this was a game where both teams offensively weren't creating the type of looks we're creating the types of looks that you want to see from the team offensively. But on this night, I think Seattle deserves a ton of credit for what they did around the slot in their own zone there.
Yeah, they were suffocating tonight. They absolutely choked all of the air right out of the Jets game. And offensively, yeah, the Seattle looked like a team that had just played a shitload of games all on the road, all in a short amount of time. And the Jets kind of looked like a team that was maybe thinking a little ahead about the whole bunch of games that they're about to play in a short amount of time. So it just, yeah, offensively, nobody had any real push or spark. And the goal comes off of, that breakdown. You don't generally see, AI that late getting back to his guy. And Hellebuck probably wants that one back as well. So a bit of a fluky goal to end this one, and the empty netters are the empty netters. Those are whatever. Hellebuck still had a 962, I think it was. So like you said, he had some huge saves. He had a lot of them. It just, a fluky goal on a breakdown ends up being really the difference there on the night where the Jets top line just didn't have the offensive punch.
Mm-hmm. And this is a year where, like, I think if you're looking at the 5-1 start here, and I see our friend Mo, we'll keep calling him our friend Mo, says 15-2 still possible. So that's still in the cards. But I think this is a year so far when you look at the team and what they've kind of done here. They're 5-2 through 7 games, despite missing probably through their best, if not their best, defensive players. Two of them for sure in Dylan Sandberg as far as the defense goes, and Adam Lowry as far as the center group and offensive group goes. I think when you look at this team's success so far this year, comes from both specialty teams units with how well they've been doing and where they rank from a results perspective at this point in the season. It's come from big goaltending, and it's come from that top line being able to put them over the top when they've needed it. And then you look at a game like tonight where there wasn't much special teams play. The top line was a bit off on this night. I thought this was a night where, and it's going to happen throughout the year, this isn't a criticism because they really have been carrying the team on the offensive side. But I thought this was a night where Scheif and Kyle Connor especially were a touch off. And it was one of those frustrating nights where as soon as they got pressured, there was a lot of turnovers coming off those sticks. And this is a team that is just so reliant on those guys being at their best to score goals and lead the way the other way that you don't have it on this night. And you see it's 0 goals on the old scoreboard because this forward group is so much dependent on that group. And so it's noticeable when they do have a night off. More noticeable than it probably should be, right?
Yep, exactly. It ends up being more noticeable than it probably should be.
I see over on YouTube a couple comments I wanted to highlight from L.May004. I've always been worried about the offense than the defense, and that's why we'll miss having a fast 60-point guy on our second line.
Yep.
I did think this is probably not the first game, but this was the most evident game where missing Ehlers in that middle six is probably could have used that punch today, and that's just what life without him kind of looks like. I thought this was a game where a team, especially playing so stingy in the zone, that maybe he gets something on a counter rush or creates his own thing. So I like that. I thought this game was a good example of that. And they also say, but honestly, this is exactly what the Jets do to the opposition when they have a lead. And yeah, Seattle scores first, and then they just played a really good game defensively. And that's what this sport is all the time, right?
Yep.
It's two teams going at it, and sometimes, and I thought tonight, for the most part, given how that game played out, Seattle did what they wanted to do with this one.
Yep, 100%. That was the game plan I'm sure that they came in with, right? They knew that was their best way to get the W tonight, and it worked. The Jets kind of played right into it.
Oh, our boy Choices TK, so I see he's over on Twitch, and he says, this game was coming. All the analytics pointed to it. What happens when a 18% shooting heater ends. And, that shooting bender ended in a hurry tonight. But funny story. So Choices TK is up for the weekend from Tucson, and I was talking to him on Discord, and I found out he was in my section. I walk up tonight. He bought the ticket right beside my two seats. We had no idea till we got there, and then Julian over on YouTube was there to talk to him and to catch up with him. And I was like, hey, these are my seats. Feel free to stay. And we got to catch up with a couple of the people in our chat. So it was fun to uh, experience that. I hope Choices has a great time while he's up in Winnipeg. I believe he's going to all 3 games this weekend, so that'll be fun. But I wanted to share that he's definitely right that at some point the shooting bender would end. And this was a mixture of not being able to get to the middle of the ice and depending on shots from the outside. And Seattle just really, I was very impressed with how they handled that slot.
Yeah, absolutely. The slot, the neutral zone, both of it, they absolutely took over it. And yeah, that's absolutely hilarious that you end up right beside, somebody from the community here, just showing you that, Winnipeg can be a little bit of a small town like that. That's kind of funny. And yeah, hell of a weekend to be up for 3 games. Hopefully they'll be a little more exciting than tonight.
That Utah one's kind of making me nervous after seeing what they did to the Blues tonight.
Cooley with an absolute heater.
4 points in 7.5 minutes, not bad.
Not bad.
I see over on YouTube a conversation. I want to take this because it's been an interesting conversation. There's been lots of debates and Discord chats about this. There's been some interesting takeaways early on that I think we're getting a little out of hand with. Kevin K says, JMO and DeMello were good. Stan was mostly fine. Pionk gonna Pionk, but be nice if Miller could draw in here soon. What did you think of the Winnipeg Jets D pairings tonight? And what do you think how has their start been to you through 7 games? Because I'm finding some of what I'm hearing other places very interesting compared to what I'm seeing out there.
The Winnipeg Jets have one functional pair at the moment. That's the top pairing. The bottom 4 have not been good. No matter what, any highlights or big moments may kind of lead you astray to believe a little bit. The bottom 4 have not been good. They just haven't been effective at keeping the puck away from the net, which is kind of their whole point. You want them to be, you want your defense to keep the puck away from your goalie and to transition the puck up to your forward so they can take it to the other goalie, right? At a very dummy level, that's kind of what you want. And those 4 guys, unfortunately, it's just not working right now. The return of Dylan Samberg can't come back fast enough, but that still only really gives you 2 functional pairings. You're still going to have a third pairing that's going to be a wild ride a lot of the times, and you can maybe limit some minutes and things, but yeah, right now it's a mess when you get past the Morrissey DeMello side of things. It's, in my opinion, has not been good, and no amount of TSN hype videos before the game can tell me otherwise.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this. I actually thought this was one of Stanley Pionk's more steady games. I thought they were really good in the first period, and it kind of tailed off towards the end of the game, especially 2 of their last 3 shifts. Pionk goes for that hip check. His guy beats him, and they get a look in front that could have made that 2-0. And then Stan got beat for a breakaway. So they did let up a couple quality looks. I thought this was one of their more simple games. I think that pair gets in a lot of trouble when they try and do too much and get thinking that they can make plays that maybe necessarily aren't in their wheelhouse, and then they get kind of scattered. But I did think this was one of their better games on the year, though. I think the idea that this early season 5-1 record is hiding the fact that pair has been buried a lot. Like the idea that if Samberg went down, that Stanley's now a valuable 4/5, which I'm hearing places, I think is insane. And that is not something you want to be approaching the trade deadline or the playoffs betting on based on what we've seen early. There's been some big moments that are exciting. Obviously the 2 goals, and today he pulls out a dangle out of nowhere. So like props to him on that and having some big positive moments. But on the aggregate, I think it's been tough. And then that third pair, man. Today, especially, I know Julian had mentioned that I was talking about it. When they went out for the last minute of the second period, I was like, what are we doing here? it's not good. Fleury for me is just so unpredictable with what he's gonna do, and in the NHL where predictability is kind of valued, he's giving you none of that. And Luke Shen, man, he's cooked.
Yeah. Father time comes for us
He's
all.
cooked.
This is not an indictment on his previous career or things that he's done up to this point. However, it's pretty obvious when you're watching him out there, he is a step behind the rest of the game. And whether it's an injury we don't know about or whatever, we can make a million excuses. It just right now you can just very clearly see he's not up to it at the moment. And when you've got a guy on your bottom pairing who's just not NHL level right now, and then you've got a guy in your top four who's playing way above his head, you've just got such a recipe for disaster and for chaos, like you said. And you don't want that on defense, right? You want steady, reliable. And right now the Jets just have way too much chaos.
Yeah, like there's a few plays. Obviously, the goal comes against that pair, but there was a play early in the game where there was a turnover on the wall around the red line that Seattle wins the puck, and they send it up the middle to Stephenson, I want to say, was flying down the middle, and Shen's just floating in the middle of nowhere, and once he's beat, he's not catching up. He then is late to his guy when getting back to the zone, and they get another quality look at the center of the ice. And then that last minute of the second when they fumble and almost another breakaway, like you're playing with fire with that group. You do have a guy that I think is better at picking up the pace and really bringing the type of style that this team needs. Because when they get trapped in their own zone is when they really get into trouble. And I think Colin Miller just brings a lot more than what I'm seeing out of Luke Shen at this time and place. I have a question for you that I'm curious about. Um, I don't think it's much of a debate, but when Sammer's a ways away, but when he's back, what would you do with your decor?
Obviously, you've got to put Sandberg back with Pionk to try to salvage whatever is left of Neil, who hates my fantasy team. At that point, your bottom pairing, like you said, Miller's just kind of sitting there up in the press box for no reason. He has shown time and time again he can play at this level. Like, yeah, years now. I keep getting surprised he's still here. Like it baffles me. He's got a shot that they can get through. He's fine defensively, especially in a third pairing role where he can be matched up against guys that are in that range. Like it makes no sense outside of like some type of personal relationship thing that he's got going on with the coaches where they don't see eye to eye on something, because there's nothing that happens on the ice that leads you to believe that Colin Miller shouldn't be playing on the third pairing and being the first guy from that third pairing kind of up to fill a spot in an injury real quick. It's baffling. So yeah, I'd have Miller down there. And then you can rotate any of the other seventh defenseman AHLs on the left side there for it. I don't really care who. They don't have anybody that jumps out at me that says that's the guy that needs to be in that spot. You can keep throwing Logan Stanley in there if you're dead set on it. You know, we need another 200 games before we really know what he is, which seems to be the prevailing theory. So cool, you can, but otherwise, yeah, I don't really care who's playing on that other side. But you need Colin Miller in, especially on that third pairing once Sandberg is back, because then you can kind of run three pairings of, without it being 30 minutes for the top two guys and then everybody else with nothing.
Yeah, I like where the DeMello Morrissey pair is at. Sandberg beside Pionk, we know works really well. Covering up with what each other does well versus what each other doesn't do so well.
Yep.
And then I'd go Miller Stanley. But I want to throw this out to you because this was a bit of a take I wanted to talk about here. We're seeing a lot of experimentation early on up front this year, and I think that's out of necessity. But personally, I like to see it. We don't know a lot about this middle six. We knew it was going to be a work in progress. They're trying different things. Brad Lambert gets his shot again today. We'll talk about that in a second. But what I wouldn't mind taking a look at, because I think where the Winnipeg Jets are at as an org is they're one of those teams that has such a high floor, which I think is a credit to the management group for building up a team that has a playoff level floor in a sense, that I wouldn't even mind experimenting for stretches with the idea of using Dylan Sandberg and DeMello as like a shutdown pair and going offensive minutes with Morrissey Pionk for a stretch of games. Like, I don't mind this year knowing that they're going to be a playoff team, knowing they were so stiff last year, I don't mind if they experiment a bit this year. So I'd be down for either of those top 4 setups and just kind of see what you have come playoff time. I like today in the end of the first period, I think it was, where it was the top line sent out with Morrissey and Pionk, and those are great situations for all those guys.
Yep.
And they create a goal mouth scramble. It's probably their closest opportunity to scoring in this game. Mark Scheifele rings the bar down, and they just can't bang it in. But that's kind of where I'd go with the decor. Let's go to Lambert, IFL, and Nemestikov. What did you see out of that group today? And what do you think of Lambert's early looks in the NHL?
Oh boy, that line was not working tonight. It's real clear that this middle six is just, the pieces they have don't fit. Like, these are, it's like trying to do a puzzle with only corner pieces, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. You need, these guys don't fit together. I still don't like the Nino, Taves, and Nyquist line overall. Nyquist I don't feel like belongs getting the minutes that they're getting there. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like once we get a couple of those bodies back, because and then Lambert specifically, it was a bad night. Let's call it what it is. It was a bad night in front of grandma. And I feel bad for him that was the game that he had family in the crowd for. So this is it's probably time to get him back to the Moose. Let's get him some minutes playing in an offensive role there, because right now it's just not quite there for what the Jets are doing with that third line, especially with those line mates.
Yes. So early returns over on YouTube. Al Camino says Arniel is actually going to have to coach this year. Should be interesting. Julian Labossiere says line was meh, being paired mostly with Fleury and sunk that whole line tonight. Harj Vivon Parwana said, I'm going to say something. Lambo is a center until you give him an extended period of time at sea with some real weapons for him. We really don't know what he really looks like. Okay, so my take here, that line, they spent a ton of time in their own zone. Even when they got out of it, I don't think they really did much with it.
Nope.
When it comes to when this team's healthy, I don't have Lambert or Chibrikov on my ideal lineup, to be honest. I think they're both heading back to the Moose, and I think that'll be the right call for both.
Yep.
When you're one of those guys, and Lambert specifically here, getting to play in the middle six, getting some extended looks, you can't have the excuses. You got to really pop and do something, and I just didn't see much there. I mean, his best play is a shot from the outside early in this hockey game, and then there was not much going on there. I also don't buy the idea he's a center necessarily, and I don't think that's ever going to be what he is in Winnipeg. He'll go down to the Moose, and I bet you he's playing on the wing, and that's his only real pathway to becoming an NHLer in this market. So, he's going to have to really figure that out.
Yeah, they're going to need to see what they're going to do with him, because it can't be... I do agree in the sense that we need to see him in an offensive role with offensive guys for an extended period of time to see what he's going to be there. Because I don't see it working with Vlad Nemestikov. Like, that's not going to be the center that's going to unlock whatever is in Brad Lambert, if there is, an NHL player there.
Good point from Choices TK as well. Barron is playing too good, needs to move up so he can get more minutes. Is noticeable anytime he was out there. I thought this was another Morgan Barron strong showing in this one. He is really using the tools that he has, and he's got an impressive toolkit. If he really puts it all together, I do think there's a real solid hockey player there. Where there was one shift, he wins the battle in the corner, starts the breakout, ends up catching up to the transition, gets the puck back, gets a shot on net, ends up, I want to say, he's on a line with Nino and Pearson for this shift. Nino ends up getting it behind the net and finds him in the slot for another look.
Yep.
He has some real good flashes where I do think that's a guy, as they're trying to figure this out with what they have, and I expect that to take some time, and I think that's okay, especially when they've gotten the W's early. But he is a guy I'm interested to see potentially move in, honestly.
So to take a comparison, at 5-on-5 tonight, Barron and Nemestikov played almost the same amount of minutes. They played nearly this, almost identically at 5-on-5. And if you look at what their games were tonight, right, they couldn't have looked more different. The stats couldn't have pointed to any, So I think the Jets are also starting to notice that because, at 5-on-5 tonight, he played almost identically to what Vlad Domestikov did and was 100% more effective with those minutes.
No, I agree. To answer Tico Napali's question, was Ford sent down surprising? Ford wasn't sent down. They're carrying all of Ford, Lambert, and Chibrikov until Lowry and Perfetti get back, and then I imagine 2 go down. So he's still on the roster. He's just not in the current lineup.
Yep.
To let Tico Napali there. But hey, let's move in. Let's move into the From Financial Face-Off. Let's give away some Calgary Flames tickets for tomorrow night at the end of this episode. But if you want a chance to win, let us know in the chat. What was your triple F, your From Financial Face-Off, and you'll be entered to win Calgary Flames tickets tonight for tomorrow's game at the end of this show. Mikey, let's go into the From Financial Face-Off.
Let's hit it. Right on.
All right. What is your From Financial Face-Off on this night, Mikey? We'll start with you.
For me, there was you could have pointed to probably a whole bunch of things to kind of look at tonight, but the thing that jumped out the most was the fact that Seattle was able to really clog up the center of the ice. They took away the slot, they took away the neutral zone. They really focused on clogging it down there. If you take a look at a heat map of where the Jets' shots came from tonight, you'll see a big, heavy red dot concentration out at the far point because they just couldn't get anything working in the middle of the ice. So Seattle knew what to do to beat the Jets. That's the right game plan. Like you said, it's what the Jets do to other teams when they're on their best, and it worked in the reverse tonight. So that was the what jumped out for me. That's my From Financial Face-Off.
Yeah, my From Financial Face-Off is going to be Seattle's net front coverage on a night where Decord, I thought, was kicking out a ton of rebounds from my seat at his end of the ice. Seattle's D and forwards were very compact in the slot, and the Jets were getting 2 secondary opportunities, but they weren't able to do anything with them because of how well Seattle tied up sticks, tied up bodies, and helped ensure Joey Decord got himself a shutout on this night. Let's dive into the chat and see what some of the From Financial Face-Off thoughts are on this night for your chance to win Jets tickets versus Calgary tomorrow. Or you could call in and add in that way. Let's go to Matt Rothman's From Financial Face-Off. Power play not going burr. In fact, they were all terrible. This was a night where the power play did have some trouble gaining the zone, did have some trouble creating higher quality looks. Not a unit I think is going to struggle throughout the year, but not a night where they had it. I guess you can say just offensively in general, this was a tougher night for the Winnipeg Jets. From Financial Face-Off from Tico Napali. Schwartz always produces versus Winnipeg. He ends up with a 3-point night on this night. He did a great job to jump Josh Morrissey at the blue line when he stumbled to put this game to bed with the first empty netter. Tico Napali is giving the From Financial Face-Off to Schwartz, always producing versus Winnipeg. What do you think of that one?
He's got a bit of a track record for it. I think somebody earlier in the chat as well was calling for a trade deadline ad of Schwartz to the Jets. What do you think about that?
Hey, they can use any bit of scoring help.
It was Kevin K.
In the
Shout out to Kevin K.
You know, I'm going to be very open-minded about any kind of shooting talent for the middle six.
I'll take anything right now.
A play driver would be ideal too, but
let's not get greedy. Calm down.
I'll listen. People First Econ says, hey, nice of you
Welcome
to join
in.
the show.
If you watch the game tonight, People First Yukon, let us know what you think was the From Financial Face-Off. What changed the game for you? Maybe you can win some tickets.
Scott Westman says, I can't keep up tonight. Did the Jets win? They did not. They lost their first in 6 games. I know Scott Westman got off a plane as this one ended. He was disappointed he missed it. Scott, you didn't miss much on this night, buddy. You did not miss much on this night. You should let us know what you think the difference was tonight, though, and you could win tickets tomorrow. Just saying. Matt Rothman prefers McCann, but literally anything offense works considering what we have.
Agreed.
Yeah, that'll be a thing. That'll definitely be a thing. And I don't think it's coming from in-house based on early looks, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's starting to become a little bit obvious. Not a From Financial Face-Off, but just a comment from Ken Tarrant over on Facebook. The third pairing is an utter disaster. We're using Stanley as a top 4 defenseman. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, Ken on Facebook, second comment. Jets played with absolutely no bite up front. Still really lacking some secondary punch. Will Lowry and Perfetti have that covered when they return? They will help for sure, but I'm not convinced they'll be enough.
Let's talk about that. That's a good talking point.
That's kind of what I was feeling like. Is it going to be enough just adding Lowry and Perfetti?
So when we say is it going to be enough, like what's the context? Let's set the scenario.
Consistent secondary scoring off the outside of the top line.
So I think adding those two to the middle six is going to be a very dramatic boost. I think this year, if the Jets want to finish similarly to last year or take a step, they're going to need Cole Perfetti to take another step and really announce himself as the 4th best forward in Winnipeg. Like that's a thing that they got to bank on. And hey, I think the second half last year he took steps forward. I don't know if he's going to save the offense, but if he's the real deal that we want him to be, he's going to be a part of fixing that middle six in a bigger way. And Adam Lowry opens things up for the other guys in that top 9 with taking the harder minutes, winning those minutes a lot of the time, at least setting up the next line with an offensive zone face-off. Adam Lowry does a lot of the little things where I think the snowball effect of what he's capable of, if he comes back at the level of player we know he is, which is a bit tough coming off hips for a guy that plays like that. I think that they'll help significantly. At the deadline, they'll still need a real impact scoring piece, like if we're looking ahead to the playoffs. So I don't think it'll be enough that way. But if we're looking at this team getting themselves over the playoff line, which they're going to be all year, I would assume, and in a comfortable spot, those guys are definitely going to help push this forward. It'll still be a struggle at times, and I think you'll still be more than ideally dependent on that first line. But I don't think experimentation and learning about this group's a bad thing this year. I trust that the Jets have really found their way as an org at a level where I trust them to be in the dance and really ramping up at that time of year. We're going to learn a lot about this forward group. The one thing I'm certain of is there's a lot of actual NHL forwards in it. There's no real players that I don't think belong in this league, which is not something we saw even like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a high floor. It's missing some ceiling. And as we get deeper into the season, as teams start selling, as players start becoming available, we'll be talking about this team needing to add a forward in that top 6 to really feel good going into the playoffs or to give themselves a fighting chance. But I do think Perfetti and Lowry, both what they do, both defensively, and then hopefully Perfetti taking a step on the offensive side beside a guy like Johnny Taves. And I have a pitch for you that Joyce has brought up to me at the rink with that in mind. We know Perfetti and Taves are likely going to be playing together. Definitely have some optimism that it could work given how they work off of the cycle game, their IQ, and how much they think the next part of the game. I think that could be a really good match if it works. Choice has pitched the idea to me here. If you were looking to get Morgan Barron a bit of a look up in the lineup, playing him on the right wing and having his big body and speed and ability to work off the walls really play into that cycle game with Perfetti and Taves. What do you think of that pitch as we throw ideas at the wall here?
Are we talking when Lowry is back as well to round out your...
Lowry's going to beat Perfetti back.
So we're looking at like a full lineup then? So then, if you've got your 4 centers and Vlad's going to be your 4C, I'd absolutely give Barron a shot up on that wing. Your other options at the moment are Nino, who's been okay to start. He's had a couple games with some offense, but maybe hasn't been the force that you'd like to see, or AI could. But again, you're just kind of finding plugs at that spot. So yeah, I'd have no issue giving Barron a shot to see if he can use that size and that speed to create some havoc for the other two guys and open up some space. It's an interesting idea. It keeps Barron in the lineup and it keeps getting him some minutes. Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that a lot.
Julian Labossiere points out, and I think this is a good thing to point out, don't forget Sandberg. Fetch should help secondary chance quality, and Lowry and Sandberg drive possession positively well enough to increase the quality of chances. Just the less time they'll be playing in their own zone will help the offense too once
True.
this team has everybody in the right pegs, right?
Yeah.
It'll help get your fantasy points going too, trust me.
It better start up soon. This is ridiculous with Pionk. Harrison over on Twitch also points out Miller bombs. Those would be nice. That would also help out the offense, right? If you can start getting more of those shots just through to the net, right? We talk about Miller doesn't have the hardest shot, but man, is he good at getting it through and finding bodies on the way in. And Harrison also points out that the Jets need more from Gabe too. He's not really been a major factor. And that's true. Gabe Velarde hasn't really been a big piece on the offensive scoreboard. So that is another spot where the Jets are missing some production.
Yeah, and that's why we don't get too over the moon with early season stats, and we don't overdo it the other way either. Gabe's yet to score his first of the season. I think he's done a lot of the little things pretty well on that line.
Yep.
He early in the season, and I believe this is backed by NHL Edge. I'd have to take a look. He does look a step faster to me, which is something I want to see from his game because you'd wonder about the speed, and if that holds him back maybe from taking another step. I think when he breaks one open, it'll kind of come for him. But he's definitely a guy they do need more from in that regard. I'm just not overly worried when it comes to Gabe Velarde personally.
No, yeah, I don't think it was meant to be a worry thing or there's a problem with it. It's just that we're a little we get a little concerned about it. Are they going to have any secondary scoring, and where's the offense going to come from, because it looks a little stagnant right now. And it's just good to point out that we're missing some production from Gabe that we've gotten used to. So it would be that should also help straighten things out.
Al Camino asks, how has this team not been able to draft and develop a center since the third round of 2011? And that's been a question we always come back to after a decade. The centers that they do draft end up tending to move over to the wing. Like Perfetti, you took him at 9th overall expecting a center.
Yep.
Now he's going to be a winger in the org. Lambert drafted as a center, now looking like he's going to be a winger. And it's been a constant look. It's a good question. Hard position to find, but that's a long time without developing one.
It's a long time. We've been looking for a second line center since the days of Olli Jokinen. It's a little crazy.
Hey, we're in a good spot though. I'll say that we're still in a good spot.
Yes.
Harjivan Parwana says, or Scott Westman says, when's the phone lines opening up? Hey, we'll take calls whenever. I guess
phones are open. We opened them during From Financial Face-Off. Phone lines are open. 1-204-800-0409.
Yeah, I'll make that announcement and I'll continue. I'll try and follow up with it every time we do the From Financial Face-Off. After me and Mikey establish ours for the night, phone lines are open. Have at her. Feel free to call in. I want to get over to Harjivan Parwana's comment here with, can we talk about how it sounds like we will have a Heritage Classic at Princess Auto next year? Fired up for that. The Heritage Classic appears to be coming back to Winnipeg. What do you think of that, Mikey? And who do you want the opponent to be? Who would be your ideal opponent in that one?
I hope they do get it. It was a lot of fun the last time. I was lucky enough to be at the game last time. The old timers game was also a lot of fun last time around. So I hope it does come to Princess Auto. It's a good time. Obviously they should go up against the best Canadian team from the Eastern Conference. Les Habitants de Montréal. The Montreal Canadiens should be their opponent in that one there. That'll be really good. I think you got a ton of Habs fans that'll show up. You get a ton of Jets fans. And like I said, it'll be the two best Canadian teams.
Before I share my thoughts, good point from HH Living Local on Jaeger might be their best hope for that as far as developing another center. Yeah, I was at the first Heritage Classic. Was a bit of a shame that there was the sunlight delay, so
Yep.
hopefully that gets sorted out
Yeah.
this year. Being out of food and a lot of the drink before the game even starts was not
Was rough.
necessarily ideal.
Yep.
But really cool and fun environment to be around. Really cool experience. You know, is okay. Let me know here. Am I right on this? Is Heritage Classic strictly Canadian teams, or could they be an American team?
It's traditionally been just Canadian teams, but they probably could do an American. Like, there's no rule, but so far they haven't broken it up that I can remember off the top of my head.
Scott Westman says Mikey was 8 last time. Mikey's older than me, man.
Yeah. I'm ancient, Scott. I'm ancient.
Al Camino says, oh yeah, I guess I got to pick a team, but Al Camino with a good one here. My favorite moment of the Heritage Classic was being there to hear they scratched Stewart and Thorburn. Then a week later, they were back in, never left, and the Jets missed the playoffs. I remember being really happy about that decision too on that night. I want it to be the Minnesota Wild, honestly.
Interesting.
I think a Jets versus Wild outdoor game and the rivalry that's kind of built up with the fan base is the closeness of it. I would imagine people from Minnesota would probably come up for an event like that at the stadium.
You like to Big Brother Minnesota, don't you?
I do enjoy that side
it's
of
a lot
it.
of fun.
Though if the Rangers keep struggling, it sounds like the Wild are going to add another big offensive talent.
Yeah.
This might not be might not be the Wild of old times.
Yeah, little brother might get a growth spurt soon.
Another Russian skilled player sounds like he might be on his way there to play with Kaprizov. So,
Oh, good. That's what we need.
yeah, Mr. Panarin. Joyce's TK says Jaeger being the answer fits since he wasn't a Jets draft pick at center.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Al Camino also points out Lambert was actually a winger and then converted to a center in junior.
Yep.
And he did play a bit of center, if I'm not mistaken, in Finland before
Yes, he
coming
did.
over. And then the Jets had him as a winger with the Moose. And then when he went to the junior, played at center, got really hot with Seattle, and then got hurt there.
Yep.
So coming off that game, 3-0 game, nothing much exciting offensively. How are we feeling about the rest of the weekend? 3 and 4 nights. We got the back-to-back tomorrow. How are you feeling about the rematch with Calgary? Their second time playing them this week.
Yeah, the Flames are they're a mess right now. You may as well call them the Atlanta Flames, the way that things are kind of spiraling out of control over there. It's pretty bad. So I'm even though it's a back-to-back in the second half, and traditionally teams don't do super well in those games. I think the Jets can still go out there and handle the Flames as long as they get a little bit of buy-in from some of the forwards that they didn't have tonight. If they can get a little bit of jump, they should still have enough to take the Flames out.
Yeah, the Flames aren't a team that necessarily worries me.
No.
I'd expect a bounce-back performance from the top line. I think they've been pretty consistent getting on the board, and this will be a one-off. The only thing with the Flames is a guy like Wolf could go and steal you a game, but offensively, that's a team I'm not really worried about, even with the current state of the roster.
Yep.
And in my honest opinion, the Flames are having the type of start that organization has badly needed. It'll be painted as a bad thing because they wanted to be around the playoff mix. That's a team that needs a top end type of talent.
Yep.
And needs to be drafting in the top 5 so bad. And they do have like a guy like Rasmus Anderson, who's a pending UFA, who should bring back a real quality.
Yeah, you can
return
cash
this
in
year.
nicely there.
And the Flames are in a good spot with like their secondary prospects, but they need a headliner.
Yep.
In a bad way. They got Parekh, they got Wolf. They need to go get ideally a center. It feels like that org has been looking for a 1C forever. Talk about we sit here in Winnipeg and talk about how like at playoff time, Mark Scheifele is just kind of outmatched by who you're going up against in a lot of the matchups.
Yep.
But he's still like a top 20 center that we expect to be playing for Team Canada. Good situation to have.
Yes.
When's the last time the Flames have had a 1C? They badly need something like this.
Yep, really bad. We talk a lot about, like, even with the Jets, they need some top end talent. They need some top end talent. They need a game breaker. It's even more evident with Calgary. It's yeah, it's something that they're going to have to look at. And like you said, this is the start that can get them to it. If it kind of keeps up a bit and they bottom right out, it could be a blessing in disguise.
And I know our boy Harjivan Parwana is a Flames guy, says, just need a future superstar. Flames haven't had a 1C since Joe Nieuwendyk. Ty Lawrence looks phenomenal as his ideal
Yeah, there you go.
guy for them to stumble into. Al Camino says, Uyghur, come on down. And if that was ever possible, sign me up. That would change a lot about the Jets decor for the foreseeable future. I do think they'll kind of keep him around to try and not go full Buffalo.
Full blow up, yeah.
How are we feeling about Utah on Sunday? It'll be the third in 4 nights, which has kind of become the same sort of idea with back-to-backs, where those tend to be tougher nights. Utah looks hot. How do we feel about Utah versus the current state of the Jets on Sunday?
And just before I get to that one, Harjivan, has it really just been since Joe Nieuwendyk? God, is nobody in between? That's rough. We'll get to my answer in just a second.
Lindholm.
We've got our first caller.
Okay, sounds good. First caller of the year.
Yep. Oh, they hung up on us. That's all right.
Not first call of the year.
Sorry, what was the second half of the question again? Oh, Utah. Yeah, that's the game I'm scared about. That's the one where the Jets are going to be gassed. They're going to be tired. And that offense, especially after what they did tonight, looks scary, man. That's a team that's going to be bringing it. So I'm kind of approaching scheduled loss on that one. Kind of looking at that game, going, oof, that's going to be a tough one. I'm not worried about tomorrow's game. That's the the funny part is the second half of the back-to-back is the one that I'm okay with.
I see over on the chat, HH Living Loco says Utah's just scary. Choices TK says Utah is scary. A lot of offensive skill against that defense. HH Living Local also points out Calgary gave Winnipeg a lot more hell than I was expecting. I'll say this about Calgary, finish up the Calgary talk, and says, I'll say it's the most ethical tank I've seen. Like, that's a group that gives you an honest effort. They just don't have the shooting talent.
Yep.
T. Kona Pauly says, it's me calling, though Scott Westman says it's him. Whoever wants to call, feel free.
We've got T. Kona Pauly. Hey, Pauly, you're on the landing strip.
I'm good to go here?
You're live. Thanks for calling.
I'm live. Well, hey, I was going to save it for Friday night, but Mr. Analytics, Julian, he's missing the boat there on my comments. I got to set him straight a little.
All right, let's hear it, Mayor.
What do we miss in the chat, Ticona?
Well, somebody on there commented about how since 2011, it's the shame they only drafted and developed one center, meaning Shifley.
No,
right?
Shifley and Lowry are both the same era, if I'm not mistaken.
Unless they meant Lowry, but I mean, I don't know. I think they meant Shifley.
Same year.
Well, even if they, what's that?
They were both drafted the same year, first round and third round.
Okay, but either way, everybody just kind of was like, yeah, one center, right? And everybody was like, boo hoo. It's kind of like we in the 15 or whatever the map is, 11 from 25, 14 years, we've only developed one center, maybe two. And I commented in the chat, well, we haven't really developed the top pairing defenseman either. And he did correct me by saying Jomo. But basically, that's the same thing. One top center iceman or one top pairing D. We still haven't developed one or the other either in the last 11 years.
I got to push back on that. Paulie.
Well, who's the other guy? Sandberg?
Yeah, absolutely, Dylan Sandberg.
Well, he's not a top pairing D-man yet. He had one good year last year. I mean, would I play him as a top pairing D-man? I probably would consider doing that going forth, but, you know, he hasn't got the track record like Shifley does as the 1C or as Jomo has as a top pairing. So really the 11 years or 15 years they've been here, that's still only one of each they've developed.
I'm betting on my boy Sandberg as in that category.
I think you probably will be right with that in another 2 years. But then, you know, I'm just saying for now. So now Julian can call in, keep you guys going a little later, and he can try and explain to me what he meant.
Sounds good. Thank you for the call, T. Kona. It's great to hear from you. I hope you're doing well, buddy.
I hope you're doing well too. And Mike and Julian and all the other chatters out there. Let's go, boys.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, take it easy, Ticona. But yeah, back to Utah, Winnipeg. I am definitely a little bit worried about that one, just with the forward depth Utah has and the speed element to their game with the current configuration. I think when the Jets get to the group that we're expecting to see, I think they'll match up better. But I think Sunday, with what we're currently dealing with, I think that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, totally agree. If again, as Harrison says over on Twitch, if the Jets can find a way to survive Utah and get a point or two, what a confidence boost that would be. And it's true. If they can go out there, get a win tomorrow night and then, sneak away with at least a point against Utah, I think that would be absolutely massive.
Hey, they're in good shape through 7. Continue banking points. You're about to get an influx of talented hockey players. Mikey, let's do the spin. We had, 2 entries? You got a 1 in 2 chance of winning Calgary versus Jets tickets in the chat tonight. Let's give away those tickets. Let's go into the 3 stars, and let's get on with our nights tonight as the hour reaches nearly 11:30 here.
All right, let's hit the 3 stars. And Matt Rothman, you win the tickets tonight. Congratulations.
Matt Rothman, shoot me a DM. I'll get them transferred to you. Congratulations. Enjoy the game. With that being said, honestly, tomorrow, landing strip is in flux. My heart's after a baseball team that's playing their first World Series game in my lifetime.
Damn right.
I don't know how good discussing my ability to discuss the Jets on a Friday night will be. So we'll see where it goes. We might do a stream, have some fun with it, but my attention will be fully on a baseball team tomorrow night.
Yeah, true. Full disclosure, everybody, the Jets will be a bit of a secondary point of attention tomorrow night. There is a World Series going on. I don't know if you've heard about this thing called baseball. It's kind of new. It's kind of interesting. I was 4 the last time the Jays were in the World Series, so I didn't really get to enjoy it all that much, and I plan on very much enjoying this time around.
Al Camino says might as well make it a baseball show, and if there's interest in that, we could do a little post game Jays talk.
I was kind of thinking about that.
We could do a little one-off baseball talk.
Right.
First, honestly, I bought a ticket to Game 1. And unfortunately, I couldn't get on a plane because of some blood clots, so I had to sell it. I definitely would have made the spontaneous trip.
I think we should drive out for Game 5. That's all I'm saying.
We might have to. We might have to. First time in my lifetime, man. Jeez.
It's
David versus Goliath. What's your prediction?
Oh, Jays in 6.
I like it.
It's Jays in 6. That's I can't fucking wait. I know the Dodgers are a fucking juggernaut, and Shohei is literally the fucking GOAT. But I've got a feeling, man. I've got a feeling.
I got Jays in 7.
God.
If it goes 6-7, maybe we got to drive out.
I'm telling you, my car gets great gas mileage. We can get there.
All right. Well, yeah, maybe we do a stream and talk baseball tomorrow. We'll see. Let's get into the 3 stars. Who do you got on this night in this exciting, thrilling 3-0, 2 empty net game from the Kraken and the Jets?
That's this might be the toughest question you've asked all night. I'm gonna go with at number 3, all of the popcorn, drink, and food vendors at the MTS Center or Bell Center, or what do we call this? It's Canada Life Center. I've forgotten what fucking year it is. So they get my 3rd star. Number 2 star, all of the DDs and Uber drivers and taxi drivers and bus drivers that got everybody home from that fucking game. And number 1 star is anybody that stayed awake and was able to watch the entire thing start to finish, because that was, like I said, the most challenging thing of the evening for me.
Ticon and Paulie might be a turncoat. Says, Nick, I got that whole Utah first line in my draft. LOL, go Utes.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
Boston's
Logan
trying to
Cooley's
lose rent
stat line
free forever.
tonight.
Yeah, not bad,
My
eh?
fantasy team liked it.
3 stars for me on this night. Third star. Fuck. Third star. Let's go Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Make some big saves, keeps him in it.
Huge.
Not like there was a lot of quality looks, but he made the big ones when he needed to.
Padded the stats real nice. 962 tonight.
Second star, let's go. Goalie gets a shutout. We'll do Joey Decord. Even though I felt he was beatable if they got to the slot. If they got to the slot, I think he was beatable on this night. And number 1, Seattle's defensive zone system. They're going to be my first star on this night because they really shut down that slot.
Yeah.
Didn't let the Jets get a second chance. And that was that. Tico Napolis is Schwartz, Grubauer, and KFC on this night. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening the day after. If you're listening the day after, we appreciate all the support. And go Jets tomorrow, but go Toronto Blue Jays. Let's see how them finish the deal, getting Boba back, and the hot offense gets better. They're gonna chip away. They're gonna chip away at that Dodgers rotation.
Can't wait. All right. Good night, everybody. Go Jays.